What is up, guys, and welcome to episode 17 of the Dad's Life podcast. I'm your host, Sean Flack 2.0, and as always, thank you for listening to another show. All right, so I did take some time off, and if you were listening to like at least the last 2 or 3 episodes, the theme has been like self-care and, appreciating the time that you have in front of you, trying to, make sure you find that balance. So some stuff happened. I wanted to make sure that I took some time and, for myself, the family, and again, unfortunately, that took time away from the content creation. But I'm back again, and tonight's topic, if you did tune in to the Sean Flack 2.0 Facebook page live video, I'm going to be talking about health, and particularly my health. And when we talk about self-care, obviously health definitely is a major part of it. So, as I stated in the video that I'm type 2 diabetic, and I had been diagnosed in 2011, and this was I want to say like soon after I got with the wicked Wahine, my wife. And again, what sparked this was an interaction I had with a coworker, and she had recently been diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, and what was a little distraught. Of course, you're at work, so you kind of don't. But I was like, well, what's going on, whatever. And she kind of shared a little bit, and then I kind of shared my story, and then we start sharing stuff back and forth, and she asked a lot of questions, and I thought I shared a lot of good information with her, and, hopefully that'll help her with her journey, dealing with diabetes. Now, obviously, I thought it was some good advice, so I figured I'd go ahead and kind of share, some of the stuff I had said to her, share my story with you guys, and, hopefully it's going to help somebody that's out there listening. So, if you are type 2 diabetic, basically you have like insulin resistance. Usually, I'm not going to say usually, everybody's different. But mine was, because I'm overweight. And, I actually had my doctor a couple months before, or maybe like 6 months, 8 months before. And he said, hey, you need to watch what's going on with you. You're in the pre-diabetic, range. You want to kind of be careful. And, I was like, well, isn't everybody pre-diabetic, right? Like, everybody's pre-diabetic before they're diabetic, right? So I kind of didn't take heed to what the doctor said. And, basically, he said, a couple months later, he said, you crossed over, you're diabetic, and you need to start taking metformin. And, of course, now, at this point, it's like, damn, life is over, all this stuff, and it wasn't a good time for me. I kind of got really depressed with it, and I was in denial about it. And it was only due to the fact that the wicked Wahine had her own journey dealing with diabetes, was she able to basically be my rock. And I just had like a moment about the things we've been through, and I know we're going through some more stuff, and it's life. It's always going to be ups, downs. But, going back to like one of the very first things that we did together, and I could think back and, be appreciative for her support. And she's been there since the beginning of all this. So, but anyway, so on air, want to say thank you, my love. You're much appreciated. You probably tacked on at least, hopefully, another 20 years to my life just by you kind of going there and walking me through this and being by my side. So the first piece of advice is, hopefully, you're tracking your health, you're taking your health seriously. And you're not in this position, you go to the doctor, you get your physicals, you do your blood work like you're supposed to. Take heed to what the doctor says. If you could do everything with diet, exercise, changing up some eating habits and things like that before you cross over, into diabetes or just some type of freak diagnosis that you just never went to the doctor for years because you never really were sick. And, you're backed up on physicals and blood work. And next thing you know, you get hit with something big. So hopefully, you're out there fortunate enough to have some decent health coverage, so it doesn't keep you away from the doctor to get all the preventative care stuff done. So it's highly suggested. So obviously, you want to take your health, especially you got family, you got kids. I'm a dad. This whole thing's about the Dad Live podcast. So if you're listening, maybe you're a parent, you're a mom, take your health seriously. Go out and go get these preventive maintenance, for men over 40, get the colonoscopy or whatever it's called, check for colon cancer. Women get your, yearly mammograms and things like that, and just kind of stay on top of that. So you don't have to kind of go through like what I went through when it was like not really taking stuff serious. So anyway, but when, hopefully it doesn't happen, but let's just say it does happen. You get this diagnosis, specifically for me, this one was diabetes. I was, denial, depressed, the world's over, who's going to take care of my son? I was a single dad at the time, and, my wife now, she's my girlfriend then, she's like, hey, don't worry about it. I've been down this road. It's fixable. You're not dead. Let's just kind of lock some stuff up. Let's do this. So, the first thing we did, obviously, was get really good numbers from the doctor. Like, where am I? As far as me trying to keep my blood sugars, how much metformin am I going to have to take? Just to at least stabilize myself, to give myself, like, this is your starting point. And then, so make sure you kind of work with your doctor, get to where you're stabilized, put a plan together. There's other resources that our doctor gave us, like we went to a diabetes class that specifically talked about diabetes and what exactly it was. Again, reaffirming that these things are fixable, or at least manageable. So education about what's going on with you is always going to be the first thing. The next thing, again, is going to, we went to a diabetes dieting class that talked about different ways to eat when you're diabetic and things to be looking for, and, how to meal prep, and, how, things you can eat, if your blood sugar drops, how to bring it up to a normal level, like spike it, and then eat something that's going to have long lasting, so, you can maintain a level blood sugar. So education is my number one thing. Go out, get educated. The next thing, that I kind of had shared with her was, you're going to have to get your whole family to buy into what's going on. It's really going to be hard for you to have to change the way you eat. You got to probably put some more exercise in there, so you're sitting here trying to make these changes, and your family is sitting there eating whatever the hell they want. And, you want to eat with them, and you don't want to feel like you're left out. So they need to, if you can, you're going to these classes, your significant other, and maybe even your older children, if they're in their teens, 16, 17, 18, they need to go to this so they can understand what's going on with you, so they can support you in your journey. Because if they're not on board, it's going to make it that much more harder for you to work through, the diabetes. Like you're going to always feel like you're left out. If they're not on board, which they should be, because they love you, they want you to be around, for the foreseeable future. So they should be on board with you. They should know what's going on with you. And then of course, them having that same information, they can help you with your journey. The next thing we did, obviously getting family involvement, is we had to go into the house and purge everything. Like we threw everything out. So if it had any kind of sugar or, was a sweet or something like that, you had to throw out the sodas and the juices and all these things or whatever. And, really purge everything, and then, kind of buy new stuff. Like, all the processed food kind of had to go, no Chef Boyardee, no Top Ramen, none of that real good stuff like Spam, like all that kind of, I know Spam, like all that had to go. That was very heartbreaking. And initially, to kind of like shock it, you just had to, you just couldn't have the temptation. So you had to like throw out all the cookies and, try to, get the dieting going. The next thing I also said to her, after you do all that, and you want your family on board because one thing that I felt and I went through kind of just dealing with this is, I'd want to eat something and they'd make a comment like, you're not supposed to eat that. Put that down, blah, blah, blah. You're not supposed to have that. And I get the intent is to keep you on track, but the way they're going about it, they're shaming you. They're shaming you into eating something. But if they have a better understanding and like, hey, if you shame me, then it's going to push me to closet eat. Like, I'm going to get it regardless. I mean, we're adults. You're going to have your cake and eat it too. That's what we do. But if you shame somebody, you shouldn't have that, you shouldn't have that, it's going to just push them to closet eat, push me to closet eat. Like, okay, well, I'll just eat it when she's not looking, if you're going to make me feel bad, but if the family's on board and they're like, hey, you know what, instead of having that, let's just say, instead of having like that pie or something like that, let's, get some fruit or, if you want a sweet or something like that, or, hey, first of all, let's maybe not go out and get the sweets or whatever and have them as temptation. But if your family isn't really understanding the plight that you have, especially the struggles of, the struggles you may have with food, like you love food, you love whatever, and you're just trying to have something you love and they shame you for it, you're going to still have it, but it's going to push you to closet eat. And, you want your family to be supportive and let them know, this is what I'm going through, whatever the case is. Yes, maybe I shouldn't be having this, but, and I'll talk about the whole sweet thing in a little bit here. But, the whole shaming of, you can't have this, you're not supposed to have that. You're like, as grown adults, we're not going to take that, we're not going to take that attitude or whatever that like, I'm a grown ass man, what the fuck, I'm sorry, that slipped out, but I'm a grown man, so to heck to what you said, I'm gonna have my cake and eat it too, and I'll just have it when you're not looking. So instead, if they, as long as they know that you're going through a struggle or whatever the case is, at least that they're not shaming you, so you're not feeling so bad eating something you're not supposed to. Now, I know that's kind of hypocritical to what I just said about you got to get rid of all this stuff or whatever, but you're not just going to go right into dieting and exercising. You really have to, ease your way in. And so, one of the things that I had shared with her is, instead of saying I'm going to meal plan for a whole week or 3 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever the case is, meal prep for 3 days, right? So meal prep for 3 days and get a little slice of pie or whatever your little vice is and put that on the 4th day. And so meal prep for your 3 days, eat right, maybe go on a couple of walks, do your meal prep, you do your 3 days, and then force yourself to eat that sweet. Now, basically what that does is like you have your win, you have your success. Like I planned for 3 days, I did it for 3 days, right? And you're going to feel successful because you got that little bit of success. And, your family's going to be there for you for the 3 days, and it's going to be a great little thing. And then you give yourself your little slice of pie. Now, 2 things are going to happen when you sit down to eat that. Number one, you're going to be like, oh, hey, man, I just had 3 good days. Instead of eating this on Thursday, maybe I'll eat the pie on Friday. I'll push it back. It's still there. And maybe you don't eat it that day. You force yourself, you're like, man, I don't really want to mess up the last 3 days. Maybe I'll eat this on Friday. I'll go one more day and I'll eat this on Friday. Or you take that pie, you slice it in half, you eat half of it, and throw the other half away. So you still got your success, your win. You gave yourself this reward. And instead of taking the full reward, because you don't want to fully get off track, you cut the reward in half so you still got your little comfort. This is my little treat for the 3 days I put in, and the other half I could toss out. And then you kind of you plan the rest of your day, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to eat without necessarily the meal prep, the meal plan, but be a little bit more conscious about what you're eating. But then come Sunday, you meal prep again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you get those in. And then maybe you go 2 or 3 weeks just meal prepping and using that. And then you go 4 days. And then you push your sweet out to the Friday. And you kind of, until you get to your sweet spot. So, well, maybe you're just doing the meal prep thing and you're on core for the week. And you give yourself the weekend to kind of treat yourself a little bit. But then in the back of your head, you're going to be like, man, I did 5 days. Success. Maybe I'll make it the 6th day and make my cheat day the Sunday. And see, you're winning. You're still winning your 3 days, then your 4th day, your 5th day. And that's going to, when it gets to that snack, you're going to be like, is it worth it? It's going to make you think a little bit because you're a little bit more conscious. So that's like one of the little technique things that I shared. You get your little successes. Take those wins and then go about your week. And then, be consistent the next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Hey, you know what? I really did really good. And then you'll start feeling a certain way. Like when you eat the sweet, you're like, man, I feel way different. Let me push that off or let me not have it. Or let me switch it for something that's a little bit better. But anyway, so those were some of the things that I shared with her. And I think the main thing for her was knowing that she wasn't the only one that was going through it. And it wasn't the end of the world. So I shared my story, how, the wicked Wahine, she was by me the whole time. She supported me. She's a great cook, so she had her own journey with it. So she knew exactly what to cook, how to make it taste good, but still keep me on track. And, we did it together. So, she ate what I ate. So it wasn't something that she ate completely different and I ate completely different. And I felt bad that I wasn't getting what she was getting. So she supported me through that journey. She didn't shame me or anything like that. And she set up those little snacks like, hey, we got these little Atkin bars, Atkin chocolate bars that have like 2 grams of net sugar or whatever. Here, you could have this in your lunch or you could have that. So at least I didn't feel I was too deprived, but I was on track for most of the time. And that was better than what I was doing. And then I start seeing a change. So yeah, that was, kind of like my story that I gave her. Number one, you're not the only one that gets depressed. It's not the end of the world. Number 2, get your family involved and get educated. Go to the classes, get educated, with whatever, the hospital, the doctor, resources has to educate yourself on it. Go to these classes, especially if they're free. Go to the bookstore, go to the library, check out some books. They have a gang of, if you're a cook, have a gang of diabetes diet cookbooks. So, you kind of, do that. Now, I didn't want to share any of that diet or anything special, low carb, keto or whatever, because everybody's going to be different. And it's not everybody's diet is going to work with everybody's lifestyle. So, again, it's all about education. Educate yourself, look at different ideas, look at things differently, and, talk to a professional about it as far as your doctor, work with them. Educate yourself and then educate your family, get them on board, let them know that the changes that you're doing are for the family so that you could be around to help provide and be around, show love, to be loved, all those things. Get them involved. Again, just bottom line, if you can't get your family involved and get them educated with you and have them help you through this process, it's going to be very difficult and it's just going to get worse. And that's all I got to say about that. Like there is no option when you're in a relationship, family, things like that. You want to make sure you have your family involved in your journey. The next thing would be is let them know, don't shame you. Maybe offer something different, talk to you a little differently when it comes to these things. But if they shame you, I guarantee you will find a way to get what you want because you're grown. You can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to tell you not to eat your cake, so you're going to eat your goddamn cake. But don't make them feel bad, to do it to where it's going to make you hide in secret. Set it up to where the whole family gets to have some cake. So again, you sit here and you kind of work, for the 3 days and you get your cake on the 4th day. everybody gets that same cake on the fourth day, or that cheat day, or, you go into your fish fry or whatever, whatever your thing is going to be, put in the work first, have the family help you get to that goal, and then celebrate that with something. And then if it is a sweet, it is a vice, maybe that vice is not going to be worth the work you put in those last 3 days or 4 days or 5 days or 6 days. So, talk to your family, let them know, hey, I need your support. Please don't shame me. I would love to work on this together. There's so many different alternatives for a snack. And, if you want, pizza, whatever, they have these low carb things and so many different ways you could prepare things, and just Google the stuff, go to the library, go to the Barnes and Nobles or whatever, and, do this as a family. The next thing is going to be, you're not the only one, and it's manageable. It's something that you want to do, you need to do in order to be around for your family. And, that's basically it. There's so many people out there that suffer from type 2 diabetes, and it may feel like it is the end of the world for you, but it's not. It's definitely going to be an eye-opening experience. You're definitely going to want to take the time out and deal with it. But again, do it as a family, do it as a tribe. Maybe if you're, single or whatever, get your friends on board. Have, your closest buddies, maybe your sister or, your brother, or your, whoever you have around you, whoever, you have as your support group to kind of help you with this. And again, maybe you're like, well, how come you're not drinking as many drinks or whatever, or at the bar, or, how come you're changing from water to soda, and kind of let them know, hey, this is what's happening with me. This is why you're going to see me make these changes. Again, let that inner circle of yours know what's going on with you so they can support you, and that you're going to need their support to get through this. Again, so you yourself could be there for your family, your friends, and of course for yourself. So that's basically it. We're at about our little 22-minute point that I kind of like going through. Again, if any of you guys are diabetic, you guys want to share your stories, you know how to hit me. Obviously, just hit us on Twitter at Sean Flack, at Sean Flack on Twitter. You could also go to the Facebook page, Sean Flack 2.0 there. We have that YouTube page that we're putting content out there. To love for you guys to check that out. So you could go there, hit a comment on any of the things there. You could go to the SeanFlack.com website, hit me there. It goes directly to my phone. Twitter's the best way if you want to, talk about diabetes. You got any questions, or maybe you want to share your story. Or, you want me to go further in detail into maybe the diet and the medicine and, the different kind of things. Hit me up on any of those ways that you guys know how. And again, for me, this is about family. This is about being around for my family for the long term, and not, and doing everything I can to prevent a tragic, sudden death or, accident or something that could have been prevented. So, again, mostly I feel like my listeners are parents, and I'm sure you want to be around for your children, your spouse, for as long as you could be there to enjoy their love, to love them, and to be loved as well. And, watch our kids grow up to be better than us. That's how I feel. I want my son to be better than me. I want my daughter to be better than me. So anyway, that's basically it for this episode. You got questions, comments, emotional outbursts, you guys know how to get at me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support. And that's it. I'll talk to you guys next week. And peace.